Earlier this week, because it's international break, we said, "Oi, give us your topics. What do you want? What do the Hammers Chat subscribers want to see us talk about over the next few days?" And quite a few of you said, "Oh, the Academy, please." There was different questions in regards to the Academy, so we thought we'll keep it broad. And we're going to talk about a few different things regarding players from West Ham's Academy. Frankie, I'd like to begin with Lewis Orford. He got his loan move. Not only did Lewis Orford get his move, Herrick obviously went out to Bolingbrood, Robinson's gone up to Livingston, so quite a few academy players have gone out on loan. But I think the big one was Lewis Orford joining Stevenage on transfer deadline day. You happy with this loan move?
I think so. I think it makes sense. I think it's a good place for him to go and get plenty of minutes. I was impressed with the interview that he did for them when he signed. I thought he made all the right noises. I felt like I think a big part of these sorts of things here is the player happy to be there. And I know you can only read so much into interviews. They're not going to go there and say, "Oh, I wish I was still back at West Ham." They're not going to do that. So I appreciate that. But you get a feeling of sincerity or not. And I just thought I felt like he was in the right place, which is a good thing. I think he's probably quite happy with what the plan is for him now. Now, that can unravel very quickly on loan moves. We see it all the time that the manager might favour them. At that level, Geo, your first 3 games are absolutely vital. We say it as coaches at Cray and all the boys that have gone out to Bromley and gone out to Welling United and all these sorts of places. You've got 3 games. That's what you've got. The results are so critical at these clubs, and you've got to go and impress within 3 matches, or otherwise the manager quickly starts to fade you away. So he's got to go and make an early impact. I'm very confident he will. I think this is probably a great level for him to go and apply himself. And yeah, I'm hopeful that it will have a similar desired effect as what Potts had when he went out to places that he went to. So yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm seeing this as almost the first part of a 2-year development for Lewis Orford. That's how I'm looking at it. I'm looking at Lewis Orford out on loan this season and next season, and this is the first stage of it. He's been sort of following the first team schedule for the entire season. Lopetegui, I think it was just before Christmas, put him in the first team and kept it with the first team schedule as well. So he was training with the first team only. He was not involved with under 21s. So he's been in around West Ham's first team for quite some time now. Then obviously in the summer, he's seen his minutes limited in pre-season and stuff. But not only that, you would have seen Potts heavily involved and then not involved in the league games. So I think there was a lot of indicators there for Orford to go out on loan, because he's not playing under 21s football with us either. So he wasn't playing any football. And I always think that's a dangerous thing when you're that age, where it's great that you're involved in the first team, but you're not playing. But you're also not playing in under 21. So you're sort of just doing training Monday to Friday, and that's it. And I'd imagine there'll be a lot of development to come off the back of that. I remember speaking to Tony Gale in particular regarding it once, and he said he had all this training, he had all these matches and stuff. So he got a little bit of training with Bobby Moore, and he's like, bang, there we go. I've learned more now than I ever will. Just with this week of training, this is what I need. And I think Orford might have had a little bit of that with the first team last season, where he would have been learning from players a lot more senior than him, a lot more experienced than him. But that's good. But I feel like he's maybe done that part now. It's like another season of just sticking around the first team at West Ham. I don't think would carry much benefit. I think he's already had the benefit of stepping up into the first team experience and environment. He's done that. So I think it was important he went and got minutes. I think this is a good level for him. I expect him to have a really good season. And then next season to step up to the championship level and go out to a championship club next season and do it in that league. And then come back to West Ham's first team. Because there's got to be long-term plans for players like this. So I'm pleased Orford's going out, and one that I'll be keeping my eye on very closely with high expectations, actually. But speaking of the players that are still at West Ham, Frankie, now obviously we haven't seen them much yet this season, but the transfer window's closed. Ollie, Scarles, Freddie, Potts, Callum Marshall and George Earthy all still with the senior squad of West Ham. So are you looking at this as a success because they're still here, or do you need to see them play for it to be considered a success?
Yeah, they need to, like you said, there's no point in them playing no football. You can learn a lot from being in and around the first team. I think that's good for their development. But like you say, you don't want that to go stale. You don't want that to be the only thing. They've got to see the pitch. They've got to see opportunities. I don't see any reason why some of them shouldn't get opportunities, but we haven't seen it of recent years. I'm just really hoping that some of them, and look, everyone's going to be shouting now, well, Potter's got to give them the opportunity. But they've got to be knocking on that door. They've got to be showing the right mentality. They've got to be showing that they're ready. They've got to be really just giving him no other option, because they're performing so well in training. They're applying themselves so well. They're turning up. They're at it. They're putting in extra after training. All of those things, which we've seen George Earthy doing when it's mad how we've had so many managers in such a short frame of time. But when Lopetegui was doing his rounds of the training ground and stuff like that, you saw George Earthy with Mark Noble walking around, and he was like, look, I'm here just doing some extra. And he was there on his own, putting it in. So you need to see that. I just hope that someone like Potts, who was so involved in pre-season and showed that he's more than capable at the level now, that we do see him feature, because it looks to me like he's done everything that he could ask, everything that's asked of him. He applied himself brilliantly in pre-season. It's time to, I'm not saying start him, but I think there were times when we used to play young players, and Declan Rice was one of these, if you remember back, and you got nervous bringing them on for the last 10 minutes because you were a bit like, they could cost us. Yeah. I don't think Dan Potts costs us. I think he comes in and shores things up if we need him. So, fresh legs like he's full of energy, I think could really play a big part in the final 10 minutes of matches. So I definitely want to see him feature. But then it's just over to Potter to give them up the opportunities if they are knocking on the door, Geo. They've got to be ready. I'm still a little bit unsure on Earthy because of everything that happened. Earthy's probably the one that I might have had a bit of a reset with, to be honest. I might have given him somewhere where he could warm back into things. He kind of got there, didn't he? And then got his injury, and then he slipped back, and we haven't really seen too much of him. He goes out to Bristol. He doesn't feature as much for them as we would have liked. For me, he needed a season of building that confidence and really believing in himself. So that's the one that I'm surprised has hung around. But the other ones, what we saw in pre-season from Marshall and from Potts and from Scarles, as featured in the first team plenty, we need to see him on that pitch at some point.
Yeah, I think it's a big 4 months for them all, because obviously come the 1st of January, if they haven't seen the pitch at all, they'd always say, hang on a minute, put me out on loan, will you, for the second half of the season? I think that's even more difficult. We speak about Orford's got 3 games. That's hard. I think it's even harder when you turn up at a team halfway through the season and try and get into and knock someone that's quite established out of it. Now, I guess you could argue if they're bringing you in, so if a team, let's say Barnsley, come in for Ollie Scarles, they probably need a left back, hence why they're getting Scarles in there. Or they're bringing in a striker, someone's coming in and getting Callum Marshall, they probably need a striker, so on and so forth. So maybe it's easier in that regards that you can really look at the clubs and identify whether they require that player that they're after. But I think they're here until the 1st of January at the very earliest, so they've got an opportunity. Well, I say that, they've got a bit of an opportunity. They require Potter to present them the opportunity. But I don't think any of them have let themselves down. I thought Scarles looked good at times under Potter last season. A couple of times he looked inexperienced, but that's normal. That's okay. That's an acceptable thing. I've been disappointed at his minutes, even in pre-season, to be honest with you. I thought Scarles could have been and should have been a bit more involved. However, I've always thought he might get an opportunity during the African Cup of Nations once Diouf goes away to play in that tournament. And he should do, because Wan-Bissaka will also be going to that tournament. So it should be Scarles and Walker Peters playing fullback, you would imagine. So he's got to be ready for that period of time, because you'd imagine he's got the easiest route into the first team. Marshall may get presented an opportunity because apparently Fulkrug's injured again. So if that's true, then there's maybe his route to the first team's just got a little bit shorter. Earthy will be the interesting one, because for him to turn down loan moves, and I like it. I like that attitude of backing yourself. You would imagine he's had some form of conversation with Graham Potter to say, what's my chances? Because if I've got none, I'm going to go out. But if I've got a bit of a chance, I'm going to stick around. I'm going to show you what I can do. And I'm going to learn from Poach. I'm going to look at Fernandez and see the difference between us both, even though we're not that far apart in ages. So I'm going to have a look and see what I need to do. He's someone I've got hopes for. And at times, I think we are lacking. We're quite light in the attacking third of the pitch at West Ham at the minute. Even our squad depth's not that great. So I think there's chances there for Earthy. I think Potts needs Rodriguez to leave. So there's transfer windows are still open. Rodriguez can go to Saudi, can go to Turkey, can go back to Mexico. There's a few options there for him. And I think if he goes, I think that would help Potts. He's the one I'm scratching my head a bit with because heavily involved in pre-season. And it was a bit of a surprise he didn't start against Sunderland. And we haven't really seen him much since, even in the Carabao Cup against Wolves, an opportunity to play him and we didn't. So I think that's a strange one. So we've got 4 players from the academy in the first team squad, which is good, but they still need that opportunity. And I'm not expecting or even asking to see all 4 players start the next game or anything. I'd rather not see that. But I just hope Potter treats them equal so that if we do need a goal, and we're struggling on the creative, don't bring on Andy Irving, bring on George Earthy. If Juve picks up an injury or he's not playing too well, bring on Ollie Scarles at left back. If we need someone different in midfield, if Fulkrug is injured and we start Wilson against Spurs and after an hour he's blown out his arse, which is expected, bring Marshall on for the remaining half hour. Don't bring on Andy Irving and shoehorn Jared Bowen up front and start shuffling the deck and start putting square pegs in round holes. Put your round pegs in round holes as and when required. And I think that's a fair ask, which is when there's an opportunity to play them, play them. And if they're not good enough, they're not good enough. We'll deal with it in January. But they've got a few months just to try and impress Potter and the fans and stuff like that. And I hope they take it. I think if one of those 4 can make it, and when I say make it, I mean rack up 200 appearances for West Ham, that would be a massive success. I think we've been lacking now. It feels like Ben Johnson was the last academy player, and Declan Rice, I suppose, but it's been a little while. There's been a gap. So to get 1 or 2 to come in, that would be good. In regards to the current academy then, have you seen much of them so far this season, Frankie?
Yeah, watched every game so far.
I missed the Man City one. I watched the Woking one, the defeat against Forest, and then when we pumped Sunderland, I watched that, but I didn't see the game against Man City.
Yeah, Man City was an interesting watch. Competed for a long time and then found herself 3-0 down in the second half. Mate, we're talking about the academy. I'll get onto him in a second. One thing needs to be addressed first. Mikel Antonio. He played against Manchester City. Mate.
He played against Forest as well.
Just give up football. Just give it up. Like it was... There's you losing a yard of pace and there's you losing 10 yards of pace. I mean, and then he tried to, because he realised that he couldn't keep up with these youngsters, tried to use his strength. They were leaving him on the floor, Geo. They were literally leaning into him, dropping off, and he was rolling around on the floor. It was embarrassing. Embarrassing.
The Forest game was tough to watch because when the team come out, I was thinking, I like the fact that we're offering him the facilities to continue his rehab. I like that. But playing him in under-21's competitive fixtures, I thought this is where it goes over the line for me. We're now preventing an under-21s player playing. They're now not getting minutes. And I remember speaking to the parent of one of the under-21s 2 seasons ago now. So Moyes' final season. And he was unhappy because Conor Coventry and Ben Johnson were put in the under-21s by Moyes, and Moyes said, play them for fitness reasons, but it meant that the young lads in the team had to come out, and so they weren't getting their development, they weren't getting their minutes because Johnson and Coventry were, and their opinion was, what's the point? We know they're going at the end of the season. They're both leaving at the end of the season. So why are we playing them in under-21s? Whereas these players that could still be at West Ham in 5-6 years' time are now sat on the bench not getting game time. So when I seen Antonio play, I agree with you, against Forest, it was difficult to watch because I thought, I want to see him do well, and I'm pleased he's back. but it was hard to watch it and not think someone's missing out here. That's someone's hour of match
Who was the
time this
guy?
week.
Who's your man, Geo? The youngsters from your part of the world who come from Hibs. What's his name?
Josh Landers.
Josh Landers.
2 goals against Sunderland. Bam, bam.
2 goals. There you go. And what a finish his second goal was. So why are you stopping him from doing that and developing in that way to try and get Mikel Antonio a move back to Tooting and Mitcham where he started off, because that's probably his level now. It's like there is no way Mikel Antonio plays in the Premier League or the Championship. He's not capable. And that's not me being horrible to him. It's not me digging him out. It's just saying, look, mate, you was practically a goner. You've had a miracle. The fact that you're running around on a football pitch is amazing. But the ship has sailed for you, mate. If you want to still play football, keep fit, go and do it. But it ain't going to be where you left off. It just isn't. That's gone. So, yeah.
Anyone that has stood out for you for good reasons?
Huge. Mohamadou Kanté. What a man he is. Oh, mate, 3 goals in 4 games from midfield. Some good goals as well. His goal against Sunderland was a superb finish. Won the possession back under a really heavy challenge. He's so strong and physical. It looks like a man v boys when he's on that football pitch. Hey, it looks like Cheku Kouyaté out there. He's got that wrist bandage on. He's number 8. It looks like Kouyaté, prime Kouyaté, when he actually had a bit about him. But he's younger. He's got more to do with his feet. He's got more vision on him. He's an absolute talent in the making. I've been so impressed with him. The only criticism I have, Geo, is that man does not track back. For Sunderland's first goal, he's looking at the man in front of him, knowing that that's the man he should be tracking, and he makes a very half-hearted effort. And in the end, the ball doesn't fall to the man he should be tracking, and somebody else scores. But if at any point that ball ricocheted or rebounded to the player that he was supposed to be tracking, that player scores because he's nowhere near close enough.
He gave the ball away for Forest's goal as well. I think his passing, needs fine-tuned. I think it's a bit sloppy, some of his passing. He gave the ball away against Forest and they scored off the back of it, but it was like on the edge of the box as well. It was a silly error, but he's like watching an American fridge freezer against under-the-counter fridges. He's just double the size of everyone else. He's just massive.
I think on the ball, Jerry, he's a player. I know what you're saying
with
about
the ball. I'll give you that. He can move with the ball. His goal against Woking as well. He steamed in and won it back, like proper aggressive. But he doesn't go to the deck. He stays up on his feet and steams in and wins the ball. I think he played a quick 1-2 with someone and then just smashed it in. Like, wow, okay, hello. So I've been impressed with him so far, albeit it's only been 3 games I've seen him play. And one of them, I think he came off the bench. I can't recall. Was it Sunderland? He didn't start. There was a game I watched. He didn't start. He was on the bench and he came off it. But I've liked him. I think Colin Beckes continues to develop at a very quick rate as well. So he's captain of our under-21s now. Played for England under 19s for the first time a couple of days ago. He came on for England under 19s, played the last 20 minutes or something. So his development's fast-tracked. I think Mark Noble's a big fan of Colin Beckes too, and I think Noble's got high hopes that he will go on and become a West Ham United player. One thing I will say, while I was keeping this positive, and I've got more positivity to come, I think Fearon struggled a little bit in the games that I've seen. He obviously looked good in pre-season against Man U, but when I watched him against Woking, I thought he was pretty poor, to be honest with you. So I can see why Potter likes him, but is also keeping him in under 21s this season.
But you know what, Joe? Probably all the noise that we created after seeing him after 5 minutes doesn't help. He was kind of.
I don't mind it, Frankie. I don't mind it. I don't mind people getting excited.
But we've got to stop doing it, Gio. We've been terrible for doing it in recent years. That we all want that next big academy product, and I understand we all want it, but you've just got to leave them be. You've got to let them.
What I like is the excitement and hope, but I agree with expectation needs to remain. That's why I said I wouldn't be surprised if someone criticises me for what I said in regards to the 4 in the first team: Marshall, Earthy, Potts, and Scarles, and that's why I said if one of them make it, that's a success. And I wouldn't be surprised if someone said, "Oh, what about that? What negative?" But it's just realistic. If one of them, if every couple of years you can get a player out your academy into your first team who goes on to reach 100 appearances, that is an incredible success. Like that is huge. I think I still see players like Connor Coventry is a really good example, not just because Frankie's mates with him, but he hasn't made it at West Ham, so he's going to make a career for himself elsewhere. He will play Football League career for his entire career. He will be playing Championship football, League One football. That is a huge success as a footballer. One thing I don't like is it being seen as a failure if you don't make it at the Premier League. If you can get paid to play football, you've made it. Doesn't matter what level, you've made it as a footballer, as far as I'm concerned. Especially if it's a full-time job, you've done incredibly well. And that's why I think if we can get one of those four to stay at West Ham, and in 5 years' time, they're still at West Ham, they're playing week in, week out, that's fantastic. They'll be worth 40, 50 million. You know, an English player that goes on and becomes first-team football in the Premier League, you're looking at least 20 million probably. So I think that would be a good success. Here's some more positivity for you, Frankie. Back in March, when England youth teams called out their players, so from the under-17s, 18s, 19s, and 21s, West Ham, where do you think they ranked out of all the Premier League clubs in terms of quantity of players involved in these age groups? I'm not going to tell you how many were involved because that might give you a bit of an indicator. Where do you think we ranked?
Well, I expect us to be higher because we won the FA Youth Cup. We've at that level, we may not have seen loads of them come into the first team, but we always have good talent at that age group who are touted to be quite good. So you're almost tempting me to say first, Geo, but I will go what I would have thought without you making a thing of it, and I would say that we're probably fourth.
Third. Manchester City were first with 15 players. Chelsea were second with 10 players, and West Ham were third with 9 players. Now we have lost one of those players since. So the players that were involved were Callum Casey, George Earthy, and Ollie Scarles with the under 20s. Lewis Orford and Finlay Herrick were with under 19s. Then we had Adiele and Golan Beckis with under 18s, and then we had Avasuru and Nwosu with under 17s. Now we've just lost Nwosu to Nottingham Forest. He's gone to Nottingham Forest. It's another young player we've lost. We've lost quite a few. We lost that striker. He played for under 19s during the week actually for England. The Man City striker that used to play for us. Can't remember his name now. Not him. He's at Stoke. He's smashed. He smashed Stoke. Stoke fans will love him. Absolutely love him. Honestly, there's a bit of a West Ham thing at Stoke at the minute because we've got Adam Creswell playing left back.
And you're on the manor.
They've got Mubamba up front, who's doing well and scoring goals. They absolutely love him. And then they've got Sorba Thomas, who was at one point in West Ham's academy, smashing it, playing left wing for Stoke. So there's a little bit of a West Ham thing.
But you mentioned Man City there, Geo.
Yeah.
How nice is that stadium that they built for that youth team?
Yeah, the campus is world class.
It's nice. I mean, there's no surprise that Man City are now first. And I know they're probably scouting the world and paying for a lot of these players and bringing them in. They're probably not grassroots, development players. But if City come along and tried to tap you up, you would look at that and think, what a place for me to learn my trade and play football.
They're very, very good at hoovering up young talent. And I think I was reading something not long ago about how like the scouting at academies like Man City have shifted. So a few years ago, City were focusing on buying 16-year-olds. They were like, right, who's the best 16-year-olds in the country? But not just England, but Spain as well. Let's get them into Man City, and then hopefully they'll do all right. And if not, we sell them. And all you have to do is go look at Man City's sales in the last 5-10 years. There'll be names on there that you won't recognise because they've not played for Man City, but they've still moved for 10-15 million quid because they brought them in really young, really cheap. Like when they sold half the team, well, they sold like 3 players to Southampton that summer, didn't they? Banzuni, the goalkeeper. Dozy, I think, was maybe former City. Anyway, the point is, if they've always got good young players there, and they'll move them on if they have to, and they'll usually get big money for them. But City now turn their attention to instead of 16-year-olds, they're now looking at 14-year-olds. They're trying to bring them in at a much younger age, a much cheaper fee as well, and developing them for that 3, 4, 5 seasons, and hopefully they're good enough for Man City. If not, they sell them and they'll get 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 million, and it all counts. Obviously with PSR, that's what you need to be doing. You need to be generating a profit, and every time City sells a player that they brought in a few seasons ago, it's 100% profit, which allows them to go spend big money. But hopefully we can keep our best talent. But I think so far from what I've seen from the 21s, I think Golombek is having a good start. I think Robinson moving to Livingston will be good for Ryan Batcham. I think he played well in the previous game that I watched. A bit further forward.
I didn't love him against Sunderland, and I didn't love him against City. I was a bit.
Maybe it was a Forest game I watched that I thought he played all right in.
I was a bit on the fence, and I'm still on the fence with Adeyemi, mate. I'm not. He has moments of magic, and you just think that was fantastic. I tell you what, he does. The opposite to Kanté, though, he does graft. He's prepared to put in a shift, which I like. He'll get back and he'll track back and he'll put in challenges. So I like that about him, but I'm still on the fence with Adeyemi at the moment.
Yeah, I like him. Right then, for under 18s, I can't tell you anything about. I haven't watched them play at all this season. It's harder to access. I'm not even sure their games are live streams. It's more difficult to keep up to date with them. I know their results haven't been great though. But under 21s, that was our first win, weren't it, against Sunderland? We beat Woking, but that was a cup game. But then we lost.
Yeah,
Forest 1-0. What was City in the end? 3-1.
3-1. Yeah.
Yeah. Then we done Sunderland just last week. So the next game I think is MK Dons in the cup. I think.
What was? Do you think Fearon's sending off was a sending off?
Yeah, probably. Removing the claret and blue specs, I think it maybe was. But luckily, in the 80th, whatever minute it was, 5th minute or something, it wasn't didn't cost us too much. But we'll wait and see. Anything you'd like to add in regards to the academy players or just academy in general, Frankie?
No, do you know what, Geo? All I would say, and I know we've had some really good following of the youth team over the years. You look at what we did at Arsenal, that still gets spoken about now because it was such an unbelievable crowd that we had there. But if anyone's ever feeling disillusioned with Premier League football in general or West Ham, it is just worth going and watching the under-21s. It is the potential future of West Ham. Supporting them and getting behind them is big. If they're ever playing somewhere local, or even if you're international breaks and things like that, and you want to try and go somewhere else, whether it be West Ham under-21s, lower league football, whatever, I just love it, Geo. And it does give you that fix of old football again. It's like football used to be, not 5-10 years ago. So it is nice. So yeah, I just encourage anyone to get involved in it, Joe, because I just think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I haven't been for a while. I had a look at the fixtures when they're not playing Derby away until March. So that's not too far from where I live. They're not playing Stoke this season, so that's annoying. Just round the corner, I could have popped up there, or if they somehow ended up playing Crewe or Port Vale or something, happy days, but they're not. So Derby's the closest one for me, which is still 40 minutes away, but I'll wait for that away game. And maybe Blackburn. Blackburn's possibly about an hour away from me, so maybe get that one. They're playing Blackburn away towards the end of the season as well. But I echo it. I just watch on YouTube. For anyone interested, kickoff tends to be 7 p.m. on a Friday night, and it's free on West Ham's YouTube. So watch it. It's still enjoyable, and it's a lot more laid back. I don't watch it as intensely, so it's a bit more enjoyable in that regards. Anyway, Frankie, thank you so much. I've enjoyed that. If you guys at home have got any thoughts or opinions in regards to the West Ham Academy, please do get involved. Leave them in the comments below. Myself and Frankie will catch you in a bit. But if you've enjoyed this video, please do drop a like on it. Subscribe to Hammer's Chat, and we will do more Academy videos if people are interested. You just have to ask.